Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society. My name is Kelly Crocker and I'm one of the ministers here. Today I'm joined by my colleague, the Reverend Kelly Asbruth Jackson, the worship team of Linda Warren, Drew Collins, Stephen Gregorius, Daniel Carnes, and our Anybody Choir. Thank you all for being here this morning. At First Unitarian Society, we question boldly, listen humbly, grow spiritually, act courageously, and love unapologetically. If you're visiting us today, welcome. It is a wonderful Sunday morning to be here for our annual water communion service, and we're so very glad that you're with us. If you would like more information about our activities and programs, please stop by the welcome table after service. It is to your right, next to the elevator. We also hope that you'll be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately after service, also in the Commons. And for those connecting with us virtually today, we're glad that you're with us as well. We hope that you'll take a moment to watch the announcement slides immediately following today's service to learn more about what's happening here at First Unitarian. And Leslie Ross, our Director of Children's Religious Exploration, has asked me to let you know that she is in search of a couple of teachers for our Saturday 4:30 program for our second and third grade class. That one is learning about celebrations from other cultures and religions, and so every week is basically a party. If you are interested, you can find Leslie in the Commons at the Religious Education End. After service today, she'd love to speak with you. And now I invite you to join us in a moment of silence as we center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time, joining together once again in community. We come together as rivers seek the sea. We are like the waters of the earth. We seek the peacefulness of a still, glimmering lake. We search for the strength of the raging river, and we long for the freshness of the mountain spring.
And so, from the springs and streams, lakes and oceans, we gather today and commingle these waters in cups of beauty. We pour out the moments of our lives into a container that gives them shape and substance. Knowing we are part of that great ocean of being, we treasure those fragile droplets that belong to us.
Here and now we give thanks for the cup of beauty that is ours to create, ours to behold, ours to enjoy. And we invite you now to rise in all the ways we do, joining together in the words of affirmation as we light our chalice. We gather together to celebrate our fountains of joy, to hold each other through storms of grief, to guide one another through rapids of transformation, to rest together on ponds of stillness. Together, we honor the spirit of water, its many forms, and its life-giving essence.
And now let's sing together our opening hymn, number 122 in the Great Hymnal, Sound Over All Waters, verses 1, 2, and 4.
Oh
So Kelly,
Yes, Kelly.
I got a question for you.
Well, I really hope I have an answer.
Can you make a rainstorm?
Make a rainstorm. Well, that way it's not going to work. Okay.
That's not going to work.
Well, if I did like pitter pat, pitter pat, pitter pat, pitter pat, pitter pat. I don't think this is working.
What do you
well.
think? No, it's not working, is it? No. Do you have ideas of what Kelly could do instead?
I think I have an idea over here.
Thea?
Okay.
What do you got for me, Thea?
Here's what you do.
Yeah.
You need to get like a giant propeller.
A giant propeller. Okay.
Or whatever they're called. Or a wheel. And then it will fan the clouds over to a lake.
Okay. So if we blow the clouds over the lake.
And then it would absorb the moisture.
Okay.
And then it rains.
All right.
Okay.
So if we had like a complicated, elaborate system for controlling the movement of clouds, we could make a rainstorm.
It would probably take 2 years.
Cleo,
I
do you have
think
an
you're
idea?
right. Good point. We definitely don't have 2 years. Leslie's waiting for you.
Yeah. We'll get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Leo.
What if you took a giant plane?
A giant plane.
One of those planes that like has no roof.
A plane without a roof.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
and then you fly up there
Uh-huh.
into the clouds, and then you take a hose and you spray water in the clouds so that the water in the clouds.
Oh, okay. So if we watered the clouds, we could make a storm that.
Again, I don't think we've got enough time for elaborate rain systems.
Or a long enough hose.
Right. I think Roz has an idea in the back.
Yeah? Yeah, like this?
Oh, okay. Roz is suggesting
I'm
we do
making
something
progress,
like
but
this.
I still feel like I'm a little short.
Kelly, that gives me another idea.
Okay.
What if instead of you making the rain on your own, what if we all made the rain with you?
Oh, okay. Well, would you be willing to help me out? Okay. Okay. So
right.
if we could just get started over here, maybe. We just rub our hands together, do you think? Can you do that with me?
Get some wind going. Okay. Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Okay. Okay. That sounded like rain. Hey, what do you think?
I think we made a rainstorm.
I think we made a rainstorm. And what was the magic of our rainstorm? It was all of us, and we didn't even get all wet. That was the best rainstorm. We love this. It's water communion. It's fun on water communion to make a rainstorm, to move our bodies a little bit. But it's also just such a great metaphor for while Kelly did a great rainstorm on his own, look at how much more powerful it was when we were all together. And that's a great reminder for this first day back of a new year. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome home. And we are now going to sing you out to classes. Have a great time.
Shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. Trees of the field will clap their hands. Trees of the field will clap their hands, for you go out with joy. We're going to sing a middle hymn today, number 175 in the Great Hymnal. We celebrate the web of life. Let's rise in body and/or in spirit. Sing together, hymn number 175.
And we invite you now into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering, which sustains and strengthens our community as well as that of our outreach offering recipient, who this week is the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee's Emergency Response Fund. The UUSC advances Unitarian Universalism's human rights and social justice principles internationally through partnership with grassroots organizations and marginalized communities. Their Emergency Response Fund focuses on immediate needs in the wake of natural and human-made disasters and is presently focused on supporting those fleeing violence in Ukraine. There are multiple ways to share your gifts. Baskets are being passed here in the auditorium, and you'll see on your screen that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org. You'll see the text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and for your faith in this life we create together.
home is a word that can mean a number of different but interrelated things. A place of origin or of solace, a place of nurturing or of belonging. Robert Frost so famously said that home is the place where, when you have to go there, they have to take you in. Where home is can change in the course of a lifetime. We might have more than one home at a time and feel comforted by each or torn between them. Not everyone, it must be said, has a home. In a literal sense, some of us do manage to survive despite the basic need for shelter going unmet. Some of us don't get a home to start out with, a place of origin, sure. Every story has its starting point, but trauma and mistreatment mean that for some of us, the place where we began is not a place we ever wish to go back to. But even those of us who have never known the hardships of literal or existential homelessness, those of us who are lucky enough, and it is nothing but lucky that determines that status, we can still know the feeling of home by its absence. Because every person who lives consciously for long enough will eventually feel what it's like to be lost, feeling unrooted and uncertain in space or in our moral discernment. And that is the opposite of feeling at home. And when we are lost in the wilderness, again, either the physical wilderness of wild places or the existential wilderness of life's dizzying and often perplexing array of choices, our senses naturally cast about looking for signs and reference points. Particularly in the dark of night or where the trees obscure the sun, the sound of flowing water has been the first lifeline to many a weary wanderer. Follow your ear to the stream, follow its course to the river, follow that flow to some waiting outpost of humanity. Frequently, for the very, very lost, water leads us home. Of course, not every landscape has free-flowing water in it. It's one of the contradictions, though, of life in especially dry places, life in the desert, say, that there is also a crucial need for salt. Sweating in the heat causes the body to lose that essential mineral, and so humans and other animals have to make up for the loss somehow, even as they face the more obvious struggle of finding water. There's a scene that addresses this in a movie from the 1970s about life in the Namib Desert in southern Africa. Although that film was marketed as a documentary, it's clear the filmmakers weren't deeply concerned with accuracy and authenticity. So don't take this story as fact, but here is the scene. One of the San people, the folks who are indigenous to this section of Africa, one of the driest places in the world, has a hunk of rock salt, but what he needs most is water. A monkey watches him taste from that hunk of salt, and he sees the monkey watching him and devises a plan. Once he digs a small hole in an anthill and puts the rock salt inside, all the time being watched by that monkey. And he goes just far enough away to see what happens. When the monkey goes looking and reaches in to get that rock salt, it grabs a hold of it, but can't get its hand back out again with the rock salt in it. So now it's stuck. Wanting to be a helpful and concerned citizen, the man comes back over to the monkey and helps dig its paw free. And the monkey skitters away, takes the salt, licks it a bunch, and gets thirsty. The monkey knows where it can find water, though. So the man is able to follow the monkey to a source of fresh water, and now they're both happy. The man had salt but no water, and now he has satisfied his need for both, and the monkey had water but no salt, and now is satisfied as well. I'm going to share a more personal story here. Many years ago now, I served as one of the advisors to a senior high school youth group at a particular Unitarian Universalist congregation. Now, for a lot of us, adolescence is a time of spiritual meandering. And of course, our tradition is a path that welcomes spiritual meanderers of all ages and stages of life. So it may not surprise you that deep and searching questions were often up for discussion when we gathered with those teenagers on couches around a low table set with a chalice and some sugary snacks. The popular bumper sticker reads, "Not all who wander are lost." But not every experience of being lost is a disaster either. I would not like to stay lost for all of my life, but neither would I wish to spend the whole of it standing perfectly still. So some of my most valued memories from my time as a youth group advisor at that first congregation, and then actually twice more at two others, comes from the bewilderment of accompanying young people seeking to understand themselves and the world and their place in it. The instance that I have in mind, I recall first the face of the young woman who was moved to tears, at least in my recollection, during our discussion about what Unitarian Universalism is exactly. We talked about the space for questioning, the search for truth, the openness to doubt. But she was looking for something else, something at the center of all those intersecting questions, something to hold on to. If I had anything to say to her in response, I do not remember it. I don't think that it had any particular value. What I remember is what one of the other adults in the room had to offer her. She said some words, and this is their general meaning. It's a good thing to question fiercely and to be able to see things from different points of view, but there are still some things that I know to be true. I do not have to interrogate them. I do not need to prove them to myself. They simply are. And her example in that moment was this: that every single human being, no matter who, deserves access to all the clean water their bodies need. Now that might land for you as so morally obvious as to be anodyne and unworthy of even being stated. But if we consider the shape of the world that we share for a moment, with its near-perfect commodification of human necessities, my dear old friends, ethical bottom line has radical and even utopian consequences. It turns that fierce questioning that we are rightly proud of onto the structures that shape and determine our relationships to other human beings and every other living thing we share this planet with. really reflecting on a thing as vital and ubiquitous as water, challenges us to ask why water and money should be so intertwined that thirst should be an acceptable state of being for the poor in our society, or hunger, or homelessness. It presaged the slogan, "Water is life," now associated with the indigenous-led water protector movement, which has risen up in the last decade to confront oil pipelines in many places, including here in Wisconsin. Pipelines which endanger watersheds at the local level and sea levels at the global level. In the moral wilderness of life, listening for the sound of running water and following it can be a strategy for finding our way home. Now, there is a very old, very famous story about a man named Odysseus who set out to return home after being away for a very long time. To get there, he had to cross the sea, but in this story, the god of the sea was angry with him, and the water itself turned against him. Every time he set his course toward home, the wind itself would blow him back. He faced storms and monsters, had daring adventures and narrow escapes, spent 10 years trying to make it home. Water is a powerful force. We all need it to live, and yet it is a dangerous thing when the tide turns against us. Now, to make his way home when the sea was against him, Odysseus had to be clever. He fought giants, he outwitted sea monsters, and survived shipwrecks. He had to adapt to the new places where he found himself until, at the end of 10 years of wandering, he finally did reach his destination. By setting out to destroy Odysseus, the god of the sea had only managed to make him stronger, teaching him new ways to survive. And when he returned to his family and the city of his birth, it was the waters of the sea that carried him finally home. I have this story in mind in part because of the recent catastrophic flooding in Greece, which is a reminder to me of the terrible power of water. That it is a fundamental force, not an inherently moral thing unto itself. But it also points, once again, towards a moral center to our universe. The more and more frequent intrusion of water into places we humans depend on it not being, and its departure from places we rely on it to be, is a signal of an ailing world and a call for action to address the wound. We come together as a congregation to search, to seek, to question, to wander, and sometimes get lost. But we also gather for the purpose of helping each other to find our way home, back to a sense of rootedness, even if only for the very first time. Not because some of us are wise and others of us are foolish, but because we search more effectively together. Because lost in the woods with each other, one of us might get lucky and cry out, "I hear the sound of running water. That way. Let's follow it home." Each year, in the communion of the waters, we gather together, bringing with us the simplest and yet the most essential of all possible earthly offerings: water. By this ritual, we reaffirm our connection to each other and to the sacred whole of which we are all manifestations. Manifestations both wondrous and temporary, spiraling eddies in the ever-flowing river of time. Some of us, physically present here today, brought water with us, drawn either literally or metaphorically from a place where we feel some sense of belonging. Some of us, both physically present and online, contributed the source of our water in advance to inform our liturgy. All of us are invited to participate in this ritual. You will see that there are pitchers next to the two bowls here, so that even if you did not remember to bring water this morning or didn't get the memo, you can still symbolically contribute water from the source in your heart and literally, physically pour a little into one of our common fonts. The water collected today will be distilled and used for ritual purposes throughout the coming year. There'll also be vials of it available for you to take home with you starting next weekend. This year, we bring water from many different places, including Portland, Maine, and Johnson Creek in Portland, Oregon, Lake Parker in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, Wingra Creek here in Madison, water from last year's water communion, of course, and Grand Gray Creek in Waukesha, Wisconsin, water from Devil's Lake, water from the Ironman race held just yesterday, water from Phoenix, Arizona, and Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, and water from the Baltic Sea. As Kelly and I read the liturgy, further outlining the sources, meaning, and purpose of our water, we invite you to come forward now and make your own contribution to our common fonts.
Water is our common origin and our shared necessity. Though we are fueled and fed and cleaned and nurtured by many different streams, we join ourselves into community to draw upon the groundwater of all being, which sustains and connects us.
We bring the water from places of memory, both happy and hard, from places near and far, and from sinks in so many apartments and houses. Water for wave chasing and sandcastle building. Water from the east and west Caroga Lake in the Adirondacks, where two met and hung out every summer. Water that holds moments we wish never to lose, and water that carries experiences we cannot forget.
We bring water from places of parting, whether slowly or all at once, from places where we practiced letting go or held on to hope, places where we loved the moment and held on to our goodbyes, places that mark the final resting places of those we love, the oceans of our loss.
We bring with us water from places of wonder, water from places of refuge, actually, holy connection and abiding hope. Water from the Atlantic Ocean, York Beach in Maine, where parents' ashes are buried and family lives nearby. We bring water from places of healing that offer comfort when it is sorely needed, places of solace that replenish our strength in the midst of hardship, and places of rest that serve as a soothing balm to weary souls, the oases of our renewal.
We bring with us water from places of wonder. We bring water from places that stir us to amazement and rekindle our spirits. Water from the Atlantic Ocean off the Azure Islands and Voyageurs National Park. Water from Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park in Colorado and Sand Lake in Crivets, Wisconsin. Places where we are overcome by the majesty of nature, by its vastness, by its beauty, and by its power, the fountains of our awe.
We bring with us water from places of struggle, resistance, and pain. Water from battlefields and graveyards, melting glaciers, and the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And from the kitchen sink, again, places where there is battle against wrong or the memory of things we cannot get back, the well springs of our anger.
We bring with us water from places of joy, water from the Pryor Avenue Iron Well in Milwaukee with a 50th high school reunion, water from the UUA's General Assembly in Pittsburgh where we are at home with our family of faith, water from a friend's family fish farm in Ossipee, New Hampshire, and one of Wisconsin's fish hatcheries in Wild Rose, Wisconsin. Water from Madison on a day celebrating family where all the sons and grandsons were in the same place at the same time. Water from a baby shower for the first kid of the next generation. We bring water from every place that fills us with gladness, lifts our spirits, lightens our hearts, and brings a smile to our faces and the faces of those we love, the reservoirs of our happiness.
We bring water with us from places of meeting where souls touch each other, water from Honolulu, Hawaii, with a friend who has liver cancer, places of gratitude, of hope, of openness to life, the rivers of our faith.
We bring with us water from places of home, from the taps of houses and apartment buildings, backyard ponds, neighborhood creeks, garden hoses, the dwellings of those we love, the streams of our belonging.
Now, as we begin another year together, we bless the waters of our common font. May the richness and abundance of our many mingled streams lend to us hope and awe, strength and joy, and healing enough to do what the world and our faith demand that we do. Together, let us practice a religion that brings comfort and witness and help to all who need it. Here, from the spiritual well of our congregation, may every thirsty soul find good water to drink.
Each week we return to this spiritual well, bringing our joys and losses to this stream of belonging, this river of faith. We share these knowing we are held in love. This year we're inviting you into this time a bit differently. You may notice there is a book here next to the candles. We invite you to come forward before services, light a candle if you so choose, and add your care into this book. We will then include that joy or that sorrow in our time of memory and support. This week we light a candle of love, deep gratitude, and memory for the life of Ken Ragland, who passed away on September 1st. Ken and his wife Nancy have been longtime members of this congregation. Before he passed, Ken and I reminisced about the number of days he spent on our landmark roof patching the leaks or down in that basement working on the boilers. Ken is very much a part of the structure and the fabric of this community. We send our love to Nancy, their children and grandchildren, to all who love Ken. He's so deeply missed. A memorial service will be held on October 1st at 2 p.m. in the Landmark Auditorium. And we light a candle of healing and hope for Pat Egan, who underwent heart surgery this past week. We're sending our love and strength to Pat and to Lloyd as Pat begins his recovery and they travel these days of healing together. We light a candle of support, grief, and anger for the young woman brutally attacked on the UW campus last Sunday. We send our strength, our prayers for healing, that in the days ahead she will be surrounded by ears to listen, hands to hold her in comfort, loved ones surrounding her in care. And we light a candle for all those impacted by the devastating earthquakes in Morocco. We hold them in love as they grieve, as they search, as they find the strength to go on. And if you'll join us now in a spirit of prayer and meditation. source of all, who embraces and sustains all life. This water which we have gathered today holds the mystery and miracle of love. It has been blessed with the love of this community. May our own bodies, filled with rivers of breath, be blessed with life energy, with wellness, to carry us through our days. May our home, this blue-green planet with its mountains and forests, its seas and ice caps, be held in sacred keeping, blessed through our stewardship and care. As we strive to bring our gifts to this beloved community and to this difficult, beautiful world, let us never doubt the strength of our hearts, nor the depth of our love for this world and for one another. Blessed be, and amen.
Now let's rise in body and/or in spirit to sing together our closing hymn, number 1064 in the teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home.
It starts with a drop, then a trickle, a burble, a rush of water bubbling toward its destination, and finally the wide, endless sea. All rivers run to the sea. Today you brought water, poured it into a common bowl. Though our experiences have differed, these waters mingle. signifying our common humanity. Today you came and shared in this sacred community. May you depart this space, hearts filled with hope for new beginnings, a fresh start. Go forth, but return to this community where rivers of tears may be shed, where dry souls are watered, where your joy bubbles, where your life cup overflows, where deep in your spirit you have found in this place a home. All rivers run to the sea. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the postlude.